Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of AEW Weekly Wrap Up. I'm your host, Ethan Black. Today, we're going to talk about the AEW shows from the two AEW shows from last week, and also the first night of Fall of the Fallen. Give you a preview of the upcoming shows and Ring of Honor stuff. So we'll just get into it now. So we'll kick over with the Rampage from last week. Darby Allin defeating six-man tag champ Brian Cage, 10 minutes and 46 seconds. Sorry, Ring of Honor six-man tag champ Brian Cage, 10 minutes and 46 seconds. For your national title, Orange Cassidy retains over Johnny TV, 9 minutes and 34 seconds. In the tag match, Ring World Tag Champs Aussie Open, cauliflower and Mark Davis, defeating the Outriders Truth Magnum and Torber Floyd, 2 minutes and 14 seconds. In the main event, a semifinal match of the Women's Solo Tournament, Soraya defeating Sky Blue, 9 minutes and 23 seconds. Out of this last week's Rampage, I would recommend checking out Darby Allin first prize and the international title match. That's the only two I recommend check it out. And we'll go over to Collision episode 9. So we had a dark tag match for the show went on the air. The Guns, Austin and Cole defeating the Infinity, Kyrie Bravo and Sean Dean. So the actual starts with tag team match, and D claims Anthony Bones, Max Caster, defeating the Orange Savages, Boulder and Bronson, 8 minutes and 40 seconds. Women's tag team match, we had Monte and Mercedes Martinez defeating TBS champ Chris Statlander and Will Nightingale, 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Ring of Honor Television champ Mojo defeat Andrew Everett at minute 22. For the TNT title, Luchasaurus retains over Brock Anderson, 5 minutes and 25 seconds. In the main event for the trios title, the champions House of Black, Malachi Black, Buddy Matthews, and Brody King, retaining over AEW Tag Champs FTR, Daxon, and Cash Wheeler, and CM Punk, 26 minutes and 54 seconds. So out of this show, I recommend checking out the women's tag match and the trios title. That's the only two I recommend checking out. Now we'll dive right into AEW's Fight for the Fallen night. They're doing a 3-parter thing, and then all the money proceeding going over to the Hawaii Food Bank, as you heard about the fires in Hawaii. Terry was already hear about that. But the opening match for the international title, Orange Cash retains over Wheeler Yuta, 11 minutes and 49 cents via roll-up. I actually thought this was a really fun opening match. I mean, this was I liked our other international match a few months back. I like when Yuta first joined, I believe. First joined the BCC, but I liked how we had some good spot, like Yuta, Paul, and Cassie on the ramp. When Cassie Orange punched, his fist was bothering, but I thought Yuta had won a couple of times, but Cassie remains the international champion. I give this match 6 out of 10. Excuse me. After match, Claudio Moxley, who were at ringside, attacked Orange Cassidy. Two saw best friends run up BCC, but they were beating them up. So Lucha Bros make their way to the ring. Then we get the return of New Japan's trial openweight champ Eddie Kingston come back from Japan, who was in this year's G1 Climax tour in New Japan. He goes after Claudio, and then everybody starts fighting until BCC escapes for the crowd, and then Kingston makes a challenge for him, best friend, and Lucha Bros versus Blackpool Combat Club and 3 members, and in the return of Stadium Stampede, which I was not actually thinking. That was at All In, by the way, still. But I'll run out all the All In stuff after this review. And then we get a sit-down from Tuesday of Jim Ross and Kenny Omega at Daly's place in Jacksonville, Florida. And Kenny Omega talks about having a weird childhood with Don Callis, as he calls him Uncle Don. Basically, he didn't have much of a summer and stuff. He was in hockey. And Ross brings up Connecticut catch. I did like how they show footage from DDT Pro Wrestling back, I think it was 2014, I believe it was. 13, 14 from years ago. So Mantas was his with Takeshita. And then Don Callis was we went to throw a special on Omega because I did get a laugh out of that. But we seen Omega get beat up by, I thought it was Takeshita at first, but it was actually Bullet Club Gold that was beating him up. Poor Jim Ross was just sitting there he didn't want no part of that. But I thought the beatdown was pretty cool, and which sent him to the hospital. Lost my thought for a second. And speaking of the hospital, Heyman Page is outside the hospital though, and he's drinking a beer. And then the challenge Bullet Club and Takeshita to a trios match All In with Omega and Kota Ibushi. Spoiler, it does get made official before security tells Page he can't drink a beer at the hospital, so he chugs it and gives the guy the can. And speaking of Don Callis, he was in the ring as he introduced Chris Jericho. And then Callis, he was talking about being portrayed by Omega, and he fell for Jericho after JS walked on him last week. I thought this part was pretty good. There was a picture in the middle of the ring. We didn't know what it was at the time, which I'll get to in a sec. And then Jericho, he asked him if you want to join John Callis' family. So Jericho says yes, and everybody was shocked. Even Callis was surprised. And then Callis wanted to go celebrate. They hugged each other. They were going to go drinking, I think. And then Jericho asked what the pain was, and Callis didn't want to show it. And then once we found out it was a picture of Don Callis holding Jericho like his head, so they beheaded him. That I did get a laugh when Callis said it was a rib, and then Jericho knows what he knew him for like 30, 35 years. He's lying. He said the painter screwed up, and then he paid a lot of money. It was supposed to be him, Bad News Allen. And then Jericho basically called him liar and scumbag, a lowlife, and he wants to first time in his life tell him the truth. And then he said he would say no because of his ego, and then calls him an egomaniac and narcissistic and all that. And it basically the segment ends where Jericho beats the crap, will push Callis, and then Takeshita beats up Jericho, and we see the IWGP United. Well, Ospreay takes up Jericho, and then Callis hits the pitcher over his head. And then Sammy Guevara makes the save with basically Guevara looks like staying with Jericho. Yeah, I thought the segment was pretty cool, but we found I'll tell Jericho's segment right now. It's later in the show, but Jericho was getting treated medical, and then he issues a challenge to Will Ospreay at All In, which spoiler did confirm. And Jericho said they were supposed to meet at 2020 during the pandemic, which I knew it was a rumor, but I didn't actually know that was what actually supposed to happen. But Jericho said he's just going to beat the crap out of him at All In. And then we get to a package. Jack Pierce, he's going to return to FTW title next week, and that threw Taz off guard. I mean, they should, because FTW, I don't think he's even recognized in AEW. Then we go to our second match of the show. Darby Allin and Nick Wayne gets the win over 2/3 of the Ring or 6 minutes at James Gates, Aggie, Toy Leon, and Khan. 6 minutes and 27 seconds via coffin drop on Khan. This was an alright tag match. I just went 5 out of 10. I like how Gates, Aggie, they were mad. They were beating up Darby and Nick Wayne. Right, and we see Darby's all-in opponents, Swerve and AR, were watching on the ramp. I did like the ending where Wayne hit a move on the outside as Darby hit the coffin drop. I thought that was a kind of cool spot in the match. After the match, we go to the Tantra. We see Sting doing his Joker gimmick from TNA. So he was directing movies. And he told Air Force Base to keep his eyes in the back of his head 24/7. And actually, since I'm talking about the segment now, so Air Fox at a wrestling school. Yesterday, they actually showed up, and Sting and Darby actually beat up Air Fox at that wrestling school. And then we saw Sting said they had 9 days at Wembley, and then we saw Prince Al Hussein next day. He actually credited 11 days, sir, which I got a laugh out of. Then he screamed, scared Nana away while saying Nana goodbye. I thought that Sting stuff was actually pretty funny, but I'm actually kind of excited for this coffin drop tag team coffin match at All In. They didn't really specific the rules, so is it going to be like you have to throw both opponents in the coffin, or is it one member of a team? I kind of wish they explained that a little better, but I thought the segment was pretty good. Speaking of, honestly, spoiler, this is the best thing on the show, segment wise. MJF and Adam Cole, they need to get in the enemy's mind as they are at a Hellback Steakhouse, which I got a laugh out of. So we just see them basically ordering food. And they're told Bloomin' Onion after Cole slaps MJF. And then we go backstage to the building, and Cole said they found a DVD of Crocodile Dundee, but MJF didn't want to watch it and show Cole 2 kangaroos fighting on his phone, and then start doing a kangaroo kick, which I got a laugh out of that. And then we see Charlie looking at a blow up crocodile, and MJF and Cole double clothesline him, and then Tony Khan's yelling at him, which that was overall, this whole segment was funny, but this won't be the first time we've seen him. So basically, we go behind Cole as Tony Khan's yelling his office, but MJF says Tony will regret 2024. And then Khan pops out, and that's when MJF said, and just everything's okay. And then we go to the building, we see a Red Ferrari pull up as they get out, and then MJF told Cole to go take a dump as Roger Strong yelling for Adam, and he kicks the tire, hurting himself in the foot, which I got a laugh out of. And then we go to a break. They're basically just top of the main event of All In. They said they want to win the pre-show tag team title and go to Maven as tag champs, which I personally think it's going to happen. And then MJF was talking about how when he got to his first day at Career Pro Academy, which is run by Pat Buck and Brian Myers, he wrote down a stream of poets, and he named 2 people. One was Cody Rhodes, and the other was Adam Cole. Then he talks about how he put 90,000 miles in his truck, trying to name himself. Then he said he DM'd Cody on Twitter about going to All In 2018 before he offered it AEW contract. it was actually kind of cool how he brought up that story. I mean, he kind of need to. They say he's busted his ass, and then he can't like to beat Cole in the main event. And then basically the segment ends where Aussie Open tagged them, and then they're gonna hit double clothesline both of them, but they left. And then Cole, I like the little tease where Cole's got super kick him, but it doesn't happen as MJF hugs it out. Austin easily best thing on the show was these segments. I'm pretty excited for the match all in. And after this, Renee was with Jericho, which I would tell during the Don Cal stuff. Then we go to the Battle of the Jeffs Texas Chainsaw Massacre Death Match. Jeff Jarrett gets to win over Jeff Hardy at 10 minutes and 4 seconds. This was the worst thing on the show. I did not like this one. The only thing I will say positive was Jeff Hardy's Leatherface face paint. I actually did like that, but honestly, I could not get into. I thought this was incredibly boring. Like, I thought this sucked, but not in a good way. I thought this was absolute horrible. I seen like on social media next day. I guess the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game donate like 100,000 or something like that. But I get it was for a good cause and like they got to do sponsorships, but I didn't like this one bit. And you knew Jeff Jarrett was winning since it was hometown, so I'm not going to talk about this match. I just went 2 out of 10. And then we go to the final semifinal match of the Women's Hall Tournament. The Bunny versus Britt Baker. The winner will join champion Hikaru Shida, Saraya, and Toni Storm in the final. It's all in. And Britt Baker does that with a curse onto the Bunny in 7 minutes 31 seconds. I actually thought this match was actually a little bit fun. I just went 5 out of 10. But honestly, this match was way too predictable. Like, I kind of, you knew Britt Baker was fun, but honestly, they did not need to do a mini tournament for this. Honestly, they should just did, like, they should just made it a 4-way instead of doing all this tournament. I get you got to do TV and stuff, but I just didn't like the tournament idea. But you figured that was going to happen. By the way, first time we've seen Bunny. So lost my thought now. Sorry, guys. But we go tag to. We're supposed to get a tag match: The Acclaim versus 2 local jobbers, but that doesn't happen as Trio Ship House of Black basically just beats the crap out of The Acclaim. And then at the end, Joey Hart takes Billy Gunn's boots and hands over to Hell Black to hold them up. I think we're getting a trios title match at All In, so we'll see. And then we go to a main event. The brothers tag match: The Young Bucks Matt and Nick Jackson gets to win over the Guns, Austin and Colin at 9 minutes 36 seconds via roll up. Basically, Matt roll up Austin and Nick assist and help him. Honestly, this was an okay match. I just went 6 out of 10. But I mean, they kind of had to rush this a little bit. Like, there wasn't much. It was more of an angle than anything. After the match, Bulk, Jay White, Juice Robinson beat up Young Bucks. Then the tag champs, FTR's music hits. Juice waiting from on the ramp, and FTR comes behind, takes the guns. They take out Juice with the shower machine. And then basically, Young Bucks was going to super kick Jay, but got saved an FTR tease attack the Young Bucks, but they face each other up close on 9-1. This down was the first. I like the first hour, but honestly, from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre match on, I thought it basically dropped from there. It was all right. Overall score, I give it for Dynamite, I'd say 5 out of 10, honestly. Only match I'd say check out the international title match. That's the only match I recommend checking out, honestly. But the night 2 card, that'll be tonight on Rampage. Ray Phoenix versus Commander. For the Ring of World titles, Ozzy Open first defends Ethan Page per se. Stephen Guevara in action against John Cruz. And tag with Woman Shima Kurashi, team with Sky Blue to go against the Outcasts, Ruby Soho and Tony Storm. And then night 3, that'll be on Collision tomorrow, August 19th. Only 2 matches made for that. It's Darby Allin versus Christian Cage and D-Mod versus Nightingale. And All In August 27th. So we have 8 matches made official. I imagine he'll probably add TK will probably add like 10 more, honestly. MJF defends the AEW World title against Adam Cole. FTR, as of right now, because breaking news, Cash Wheeler, it's making the rounds. I don't know if everybody's seen it, but he got arrested for aggravated assault and weapons charge, I believe it was. But that's all we know as of right now. That's what I'm just seeing right now. But as right now, the match is still happening unless we found more updates on AEW. But if we know more, I'll talk about next week's episode. And in the finals of the Women's Hall Tournament, Hikaru Shida defends Saraya, Britt Baker, and Toni Storm. Tag team coffin match, Mogul Embassy, Swerve Strickland, and AR Fox versus Darby Allin Sting. For the wearing of world titles on the pre-show, Aussie Open defends AEW World Champ MJF Adam Cole. 12-man tag team Stadium Stampede match, Best Friends International Champ Orange Cassidy, trained by Chuck Taylor. Team with the Lucha Bros, Pentagon Jr., Ray Phoenix, and Eddie Kingston versus the Blackpool Combo Club, Spring World Champ Claudio Castro, and John Moxley, all with 3 partners to be determined. Chris Jericho versus Will Ospreay in trios match. The Golden Leads, Kota Ibushi, Hangman Page, and Kenny Omega versus Bullet Club Gold, Jay White, Drew Ross, along with Kaneshita Keshta. So that's 8 matches made for that. And then nothing made for next week either, by the way. But that's the AEW stuff. And then I'll go over to Ring of Honor. Episode 25. So opening big match, Gravity defeating Gorky Loco. I just won 7 out of 10. Pure Rules match, Joshua for defeating Silas Young. That one gets 7 out of 10 as well. Proven Ground match, Woman Shayna Thea defeat Brittany J. I just won 5 out of 10. Television James Samoa Joe and Stokely Hathaway defeating the Boys, Brandon Brand Tate. 4 out of 10. 6-man tag champs get to Agony defeating Chris Redeem's Matt Sydal. I just won 6 out of 10. Master Reign defeating Danny Moe. I just won 3 out of 10. Dark Order defeating Corey Colon, Isaiah Brown, and Laura Crew. Cole Carter defeating Griff Garrison. By both of these matches get 5 out of 10. Billy Starks for Charlotte Renegade. I just won 5 out of 10. Action Andretti Davis Martin Lee Johnson feet Lee Moore in the Workhorse with Anthony and Jake. I just won 6 out of 10. Lady Frost being Trisha Dora. I just won 5 out of 10. Later Hershey Richard Eller. I guess 5 out of 10. Don Calson defeating Peter Avalon. I just won 3 out of 10. Intimate Mental defeating Tony News. I just won 6 out of 10. Honestly, only 2 matches I recommend checking out. It's the first 2, the Peter Rules match between Woods and Young, and Gravity for Squanky Loco. But yeah, that's the Ring of Honor stuff and AEW stuff for this week. I'm your host, Ethan Black. I'll be back next week. Tell with the AEW stuff like usual. Have a good weekend, guys. Stay safe.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.